Hi, Jack Canfield here again with another segment of Talking About Success, where we bring you resources and people and books and seminars and all kinds of things that you can use to create more success, more joy, more fulfillment in your life in terms of health, wealth, and abundance and relationships. And today we're going to be talking about one of the most important relationships, which is the mother-daughter relationship. My guest today is Colleen O'Grady. She's the author of Dial Down the Drama. Dial Down the Drama, Reducing Conflict and Reconnecting with Your Teenage Daughter, a guide for mothers everywhere. And I think this is a guide for, I would encourage parents, whether you're a mother or a father, to read this. I started reading this, and having raised a teenage daughter, I thought, God, there's some things in here I wish I'd known when those, they were dramatic years, I have to tell you. But she's been a licensed marriage family child counselor and just working for over 25 years in the field, 30,000 hours with parents and teens. That's an incredible amount of hours working with. So this is a person who knows what they're talking about from their own experience. 19 of those years, she trained psychiatry residents in the Child and Adolescent Department at the University of Texas Mental Science Institute. A lot of credibility here. And she states that the greatest teacher and her greatest joy in her life has been her own 20-year-old daughter, which I'm sure is a source of a lot of what we're going to hear about in this book. So why did you write Dial Down the Drama?
Yes. Well, I was known in the therapeutic community as an expert on teens. Mm-hmm. And then my own daughter, she turned 11. And actually early adolescence starts at the age of 9.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there she was towering over me and giving me that sass, the eye roll, you can't tell me what to do. And I thought, oh, this is why the teenage years are challenging. Actually, I didn't think that. I lost it. I totally lost it. You know, that little therapist angel, boom, knocked her off my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And I just was crazy. And, you know, there's something primal that takes over a mom. And I thought, you know, I don't want to battle with my daughter for the next 7 years. I mean, thousands of teenagers like me, so I want my own daughter to like me. So what am I missing? And I realized I was missing the neuroscience. I didn't even get that.
We'll talk about neuroscience. Yeah. For a lot of our viewers probably don't know what that means.
Well, to make it simple, like what's going on in that teenage brain, you know? But that teenage brain interacts with the mom brain, and so sometimes people don't talk about that.
So you, through your research as a psychologist and a family therapist and all that, you started to understand what's going on in the brain, the development of the brain, the parental reaction in the brain.
Yes.
Very important. And I have to say, when I was leafing through your book earlier, the chapter that really stopped me was about neuroscience and what was going on and the things that fire together, wire together, and if they don't get used, then they disappear and all this. We'll talk about that as we go through this. What do you think is the number one reason that mothers and daughters get into these conflicts?
Yeah. Well, it's because we're so close to our daughters, we take it personally. You know, if she makes a C on a test, if she comes home an hour late, you know, if she doesn't like what we want her to wear, we just get real upset. And if we see that it's actually not personal, that she's actually hardwired for drama, I like to say that she's a quadruple threat for drama.
Quadruple threat. Why quadruple threat?
Well, there's like 4 main reasons why a teenage girl can be really dramatic. Mm-hmm. From hormones, though some disagree on that, but most of it is because the brain is being remodeled. And the lower part of the brain is in charge. That more reactive part of the brain is really running the show in a teenager most of the time. And then there's this dopamine driver, you know, like kids are like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's just drive 5,000 miles an hour and be drunk. Well, there's this driver for the dopamine that actually they say that the dopamine level is lower in teenagers than adults. So when they say they're really bored, they're just like, they really are bored. So they get these peaks of dopamine, and so they do these kind of crazy things. So there's lots of reasons why they are just like up and down mood-wise.
Well, you're bringing back memories. I have a 21-year-old daughter, so I can relate. So what's something a mom can do to dial down the drama? Give us some tips.
Yeah. Well, timing is everything. So if a teenage girl is upset, pouty, stressed, walled off in her room, angry, drunk or high, that's not a real great time to have a conversation with her.
Mm-hmm. Or with an adult either.
Right, or with an adult either, because she's literally offline from the higher brain.
Right.
So if you wait till she's relaxed, then she's much more open. So a lot of times a big mistake is that, the girl, you find out she just did this thing, and so you lay into her and you do this big lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's not going to be listening to you. So you wait a while and get a strategy and get clear about how you want to handle that, and you've dialed down a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hello, is the prefrontal cortex engaged? Can we get in there and have a conversation?
Yes.
So in chapter 6,
Yeah.
the chapter is called How to Like Your Daughter Again.
Yes.
Don't all mothers like their daughters?
Yeah, well, they might say that, but moms will love their daughters. I love my daughter. They may not admit it, but they don't really like them that much because if you've been tangling with your daughter a lot. So it's like these moms can get into being the 24/7 monitor. And I've done this myself. So if you're just saying, like, why are you wearing that? What's wrong with your hair? Don't eat that. You should go to bed now. Give me your phone. And that's all you have in your relationship.
Mm.
Well, the teenager doesn't like you very much, and then you're not going to like her very much. So it's important to broaden your relationship with your daughter and have other facets. So if you like her, she will reflect back to you that that she likes you. So it's turning that negative cycle around.
Well, be a little more specific. How do you express that you like her so she'll like you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The teenage girls will say, "Oh my gosh, I know, like, I can tell when my mom walks in the house, like, what mood she's in."
Mm-hmm.
And she walks in the room with that frown, just like. Now, these teenagers can do the exact same thing to mom. It goes both ways. But, they rarely see even mom smile. Like, you walk in the room, you don't smile at your daughter because you're looking at, like, oh my gosh, why is she wearing that? So they see judgment on your face.
Mm-hmm.
So just even smiling at your daughter can be helpful.
I read somewhere once that the best thing you could do for your teenage daughter was to make her feel like you're happy she walked in the room.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I can remember back to my wife. My daughter would walk into the room and she'd go, "You're not wearing that, are you? The shorts are too short. Stop picking on your face." Whatever it is, it's just, you're so right. I mean, there are numerous times I can remember going, "Go to your neutral corners," like being the referee. Like, God, it's so cool. So, one of the things I know that was a challenge in raising our daughter was getting her to talk.
Yeah.
Getting her to feel safe enough to open up.
Yeah.
And I watched, when you're coming from that place where you just talked about, that doesn't happen. What advice do you have for a parent, mothers especially, to get their daughters to open up and actually talk to them about the things that matter?
Yeah. Well, again, timing really is everything. So I remember when my daughter was in middle school, I would drive her to school, and I thought, because I was a working mom, I thought, this is a great time for her to talk to me. So I'd say, tell me about your friends. How's it going? Did you get your project done? And I would get these one-word answers like, and sometimes a grunt.
Right.
And then it would end with the slamming of the door. Now, in the same day, like, I have my computer open. I'm like relaxing, checking Facebook. She plops on the bed and, "Hey, Mom," and she's wanting to talk. Throws the dog up there and just starts rattling on. So I thought, what's the deal? Well, it was not convenient to me.
I know, my wife would say, "Can't you see I'm working?"
Yeah, can't you see I'm working? Yeah. So what I figured out, it's like when a daughter my daughter was like really stressed about going to middle school because of all the social politics. And so when they're stressed and pressured, again, that lower brain is in control. They're not wanting to chat. So you're not going to get any information. But when they relax and they don't feel like you're going to criticize them, then, and actually if you're kind of doing something different, then they'll go on and on. So I like to say teenagers like a cat.
That's very well. I've always owned cats, so I can relate. Sometimes you want to pick them up and they don't want to have anything to do with you. And other times they just crawl all over your keyboard and they won't let you alone.
Right. So, but if you pretend like your daughter's a dog and you say, come here, they run the other way.
That's really good. Well, I think you said something other important too, because I always felt like, well, I've got the kid in the car, it's a captive audience, but what you just made me aware of is I'm driving them to the most stressful thing in their life called school.
Yeah.
All that social politics, the mean girls and what clicks them in or not, or all the cyberbullying that goes on and everything.
Yeah.
Not the time to do it.
No, it's not.
Very good. Let me ask you a follow-up question about talking to your daughter. I had heard about, and I used a lot, this idea of reflective listening.
Yeah. Like
just really repeating back in a way, not to where they go, Mom, did you just take a workshop where you're supposed to repeat everything? Because I got that as well. But how important is it to really listen? Talk about listening so that they keep talking.
Yeah, listening is so huge. I've heard someone say that, a teenager just knows an adult is a gigantic mouth. And and we have 2 ears and we need to be listening to them.
Right.
And they really want, like any of us, to be understood. So if you get curious about their world instead of judgmental, they'll talk forever. I mean, I used to have kids coming into my private practice and they're like, I'm not going to talk to this shrink. So they'd be like that. And then I'd say, so like, what kind of kids do you have at your school? And when they could see I was really genuinely curious. They want to educate you. They want to tell you about this. So yeah, so if they can tell, like even just one word, some people call it shingling. Like if they said like it was so hard at school today, so it's hard. Oh my God, hard. Like you don't even know, Mom. I probably don't. Yeah, you don't. And then they'll tell you more.
Very good. I wish we could turn this into a whole hour-long seminar on parenting. Unfortunately, we don't have time to do that. You've got this book. I assume it's available in all the normal places like Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and so forth. And if people wanted to hire you as a consultant, to do speaking, to talk to, where do they go? How do they find you?
Yeah, they can go to ColleenO'Grady.com. I have a lot of free resources. I have a blog, I have a podcast, and I have programs where you can work with me directly. So there's all sorts of good things there.
So blogs and podcasts, they get daily or weekly updates about things that are useful for them to know?
Yeah. My Facebook page. I have a free ebook for you and a free chapter. So lots of great stuff for you.
Okay, so you're seeing some of that on your screen. Make sure to reach out. If you're a mother especially, or a parent in general, and you have a teen, or if you're a grandparent and you wish your daughter would treat your granddaughter better, whatever it might be, I'd love this book. I've read about a third of it already, and I'm finding value. And I'm already applying it to my daughter, who's now 21. It's still working at that age. It's helping me be a better stepfather. So thank you very much. Dial down the drama. Make sure you get a copy of this book. Go to her website. Thank you for joining me today.
It was wonderful.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, stay tuned. We'll be back with another guest after this break.